So we are holding in middle of the fifth parak of Shemona Perakim. I just want to remind everyone that this is we're live on Zoom every day, 1:30. Our number is 732-444-8549. You can send a message. We'll send you the link to join live on Zoom. So yesterday, I don't know if you guys realized there was a shtickle out of it. So if you didn't listen to yesterday's show, when you listen to it, make it like times 2, because like my brain was thinking on times 0.5 or something. Anyway, so mass like this. We're in Pirkei, and this is the parak where the Rambam really tries to bring everything together. This really where I said, as I said yesterday, this is really the end of Shemona Perakim. From 6, 7, and 8 are sort of they're different. Exploring different topics in length that don't have so much to do with the central idea of Shemona Perakim, and that is to the Rambam. The idea of Shemona Perakim up till Pirkei, including Pirkei, is to understand. The first part of it was to understand the mechanics of the soul, how the soul works, what makes it healthy, what makes it sick, and therefore how to cure it, and what the ideal, good, balanced, emotional appetite of soul should look like. And the fifth parak is really where it gets to the point, and that is why. The big why. Everything in life doesn't only have to have a what, it has to have a why. And the question is, why am I taking care of myself? Why am I trying to be a certain type of person? Why am I working so hard to control, to guide all my behaviors to a certain pattern and to a certain way? And here's where the Rambam says why. And the why is, and we alluded to that a few times already, but the Rambam wanted to stay focused. So he didn't explore it in length. Right? The Rambam always, whenever we had this come up, the Rambam said that this is not the point because we're learning Masechtas Avos, the idea of Masechtas Avos, that is not to deal with the end result, and that is more to teach someone and to guide someone and to train someone and to heal someone to be in a position to as we said, to be in a position to compete in the race. So we didn't talk about the race. We spoke about how to put yourself in a position to be worthy and to be in a situation of that competition. So now, like someone who's training for a fight, it's a good example. So someone's training for a fight. So if someone is a professional wrestler or something like that, and he's training for a fight, so he has to have a certain food regimen, right? He has to have a very, very strict diet. He has to do a tremendous amount of exercise, and he has to have a certain amount of sleep. So there's a lot of different things that he needs to do. And if we want to put him, so we're not going to talk about the fight. The majority of the time, we're not talking about the actual fight. Our first objective is to put this person in a position that he could compete. So for that, we need to take care of his diet, we need to take care of his sleep, we need to take care of his lifestyle, we need to take care of the people he hangs out with, because again, that is really a secondary thing, because the people he hangs out with are going to have an effect on his lifestyle in general. We have to take care of the conditions of his room, and not too hot, not too cold, all these type of things, his marriage, his kids, every single aspect of his life is going to be affected by the fact that he wants to be a professional wrestler. Now, if he does all this without the knowledge of the goal, first of all, it's nearly impossible, and moreover, it's sort of pointless, because if you don't really have your goal in front of your eyes, then you won't not only be motivated, you won't get there. If we look at all this as a ladder, and that ladder is to eventually attain a certain goal, then we need to know at the get-go what that goal is. And let me explain deeper than that. We said this a few times. Yogi Berra is a catcher for the Yankees, a Hall of Famer. He said, so he had these gewaltige memories. So one of his very important memories are that you have to be very careful when you don't know where you're going, because you might not get there. Because, that's the word. So if you don't know where you're going, then there's no way. Right? Because if I tell you, if you go 1,000 miles, is 1,000 miles progress? I don't know. I don't know where I started off. Where do I want to go? It depends. 1,000 miles can be tremendous progress if I wanted to go 1,001 miles. But if I wanted to go 1,000 miles in the other direction, then that's not progress at all. And if I don't have any goal, then nothing is progress. Absolutely nothing. Even things that are in the right direction. And so this is very important to understand, because if you know what your ultimate goal is, if you know where you want to go, then you know which direction you need to go in. You're going to know the things that are going to distract you from it. And you will know, and this is key, that when you have two things that you want to do, or then you need to pick one of these two things that you want to do now. which one is going to make room for the other? So now the thing that's going to make you closer to your general goal, that's what you should do. And that is why you need to know where you're going. Because is this a good thing or a bad thing? There is no inherent good and bad. The question always is, where is it that you want to go? So therefore, that's why this parak is extremely important. Because this parak really gives a meaning to the entire Shemona Prakim. This is like the neshama of the Shemona Prakim. Till now we were talking about your soul, when it's healthy, when it's sick, how to make it healthy, how to make it sick. It says the Rambam, you have to know that your entire life, everything you're going to do from this point on, everything is going to have to be knowing what your ultimate goal is. And that ultimate goal is to connect to Hashem through your intellectual soul. By the way, I just want to put this as a footnote. I would assume that most Chachmei Yisrael wholeheartedly disagree with this conclusion. Meaning, the conclusion that the tachlis of a person is to connect Hashem through his intellect. I doubt Rashi would come to the same idea. And not only Rashi, or the classic Ashkenazi and non-Aristotelian Rishonim. But this is what the Rambam believes, and this is what Yisoida Adas to the Rambam. And the Rambam in the Akdama, we explore this, and we'll say this again, in the Akdama to Pirkei Mishnayos, the Rambam says that, and this comes from Aristotle, that when you want to know the function of, when you want to, you know that the Chaymer V'tzur idea, right? If you want to establish what the purpose of something is, then you need to see what it was designed for, right? So you want to know what an axe is. An axe is not designed to itch your back, and it's not designed to serve food on, right? It's designed to chop wood. And if you know what the design is, if you identify something by its form, not by its matter, right? By its form, then you're going to know how to use it, what the most useful way it is, and then you're actually going to have use of it. And the same thing if you have a person, and the Rambam says, we see the key component, the key element that a person has that nothing else in creation has, that is his mind. Because everything else, if you could compare the body of a human and the body of an animal, sometimes the anatomy is very, very similar. So what is the defining difference? And once we understand the defining difference and we understand that this is the form of man, this is not the matter. The matter of man and the matter of an ape might be very similar. But the form of man is his intellect. That is what makes him unique. Therefore, everything, if your purpose is there for your intellect, then that is what makes you a person. That is Moiser Adam and Abahema. That is what separates you from the animal kingdom. Therefore, when you have a decision to make, one is animalistic, and one is inherently animalistic, and one has to do with developing reason. Now, developing a healthy mind does not have to be only something that has to do with the mind. It can have to do with food, like we saw before. That is because if you understand that your mind is connected to your body and you need to be healthy, you need to sleep, you need to do all these things, then when you engage in that behavior, so you can have two people eating by a table, and the truth is both of them are eating the same food. If one person is eating it just because he's hungry and he's eating it because he likes food and he's just putting food in his mouth, then that person is developing his animalistic instinct, because that's exactly what a monkey does. But the other person that's mindful of what he's doing, and he's mindful that this food is just to put fuel in the machine, that is to put fuel into the machine that is going to eventually, when he comes to the right place and state of mind, he could connect to Hashem and understand Hashem's ways and learn Torah and develop his mind and daven with a tremendous dveikus. Now this person, they're not eating the same food. They're completely two different beings. One is developing his animalistic soul, and the other one, while he's engaging the same exact identical activity and eating even the same food, he is striving closer, he's perfecting his soul. Therefore, says the Rambam, when you eat, you need to understand why you eat. Now, this could come, you can have many different outcomes of the reason why you need to be mindful. One is just like what I said now, and the other one is even more basic. Because if you have two foods, so this animal guy, right? You have this other guy sitting by the table. This guy that's just eating because he needs calories because he's hungry. So this person, if he has unhealthy food and that tastes very good, and healthy food, he's going to go for the unhealthy food because that's what his animal wants. But if you understand what your general goal is, and you understand that for your ultimate goal, eating unhealthy food is absolutely animalistic. There is nothing. You as a person have no interest. Your person, your das, your reason, what makes you uniquely man, that doesn't have interest in unhealthy food. To the contrary, you're just messing up your machine. So it makes absolutely no sense. So it says the Rambam, we're going to read this inside, when a person eats unhealthy food, it's not his person that's eating the unhealthy food, it's his animal eating the unhealthy food. And by the way, you're feeding your animal, you're feeding your beast, and you're making your beast bigger and stronger, and you're just going away from where you want to be going. That's why the Rambam says all actions in your life, every single thing you do has to be geared to the ultimate goal. And again, you can engage in thousands of behaviors and thousands of actions that have nothing to do with reason. But if you do them with the right thing in mind, for instance, you go work. Now, you could go work and you could do things that are very basic, meaning not sophisticated, not intellectual things. You could work as a plumber. Now, working as a plumber, if you do ehrlich business, and that's beautiful, right? Now, if your goal in life and your outlook in life is to be the best plumber in the world, that's just a pathetic life, right? That makes no sense. Now, if your goal in life is to be a plumber, that you should be able to support your family, you should be able to support yourself and bring up your children on the values of the Torah, and that your children and yourself and your family, you should have healthy food, and you should be in a position that you're going to be Yodei Hashem, then what you're doing now is the way, that is on the ladder going up. And that is the way to connect. Now, that may be a very low step in the ladder, meaning the action itself is a low step in the ladder. And there are lower steps and higher steps. And that is a very basic step. True. But that is going in the right direction. Versus the person who sees his money and his property as a goal in and for itself, that's a person going nowhere. So that's what's very important for the Rambam to say. And let's just do let's pick up. So yesterday we read the way the Rambam describes a person's relationship with food and money in this context. And that is that a person always has to be focused on what the end goal is. And now he says, and based on this logic and based on this idea, the medicine, which is interesting, which is obviously the Rambam's profession, and that is not only the Rambam, the Ramban, and Rebbe Avram and the Rambam, many Rishonim were physicians, right? Were doctors. And so the Rambam says that medicine, for the reason that I just said, that's why medicine is different than most other professions. Because being a carpenter, which is the dogma the Rambam gives, being a carpenter or a plumber or a truck driver, which are all very nice ehrliche professions, but they are inherently basic, meaning they deal with they are not only a means to an end, they're almost like a means to a means, right? Because if versus, let's just take medicine. He says, because the medicine has such an instrumental role in the well-being and equilibrium of a person's body, and that is a necessary component in the person engaging in Das Hashem, which is the ultimate goal. Therefore, medicine and understanding your body and understanding with the foods and the sleeping and the relationships you have, all these things from a medicinal perspective is a means to the very end itself. That is a key component, a key ingredient of being in the position to be Yodei Hashem and to be Masik the Eibishter and to understand His ways and to use your brain. And your brain should be, functional on a high level. For that, your medicine needs your medicinally you need to be in good shape. Therefore, the science of medicine, says the Rambam, is a choshev science. It's a choshev science in this context. Versus the science, let's say, of carpentry is very basic. Now, again, if you do it with the right intentions, very good. That's like engaging in physical activity. Engaging in physical activity is in it for itself. There's nothing admirable about it. There's nothing there. It's just when it's a means to an end, then it has a function. The same thing says the Rambam with the science of carpentry. The science of carpentry, there's nothing in it, really. It's just a means to a means. Because if you know how to do your job, then if you do your job well, then you'll have money. And then if you have money that we saw already yesterday, money in it for itself is not either anything to boast, or that's definitely not a goal in it for itself, and that's as silly as any other goal. But again, if the money is a means to an end. So the Rambam just here, as a side bracket, sort of points out why he sees medicine being different than most other sciences. Medicine has a connection to the moral and intellectual virtues of Yedias Hashem. Why? And to ultimately attaining true bliss. Because and it's not, and the Rambam said it's not like weaving or carpentry, because through medicine a person can weigh and calibrate all his behaviors, and which ultimately will bring him to the ultimate goal, right? So through medicine you can calibrate all your behaviors that you're going to do, or most of them, and therefore the knowledge of medicine itself, the science of medicine, is very, very much a means to an end, versus weaving and carpentry that are a means to a means, which is what we said before. Because the Rambam said, why is this so important to know? Because when a person sits down and eats, this is what we said before, and then let's just read it inside. Because when a person sits down and he's going to eat food, and he's eating it because it's appealing to his palate and it's pleasing and it has a good aroma and it arouses his appetite. But at the same time, this is very good food. This food that smells to the high heavens, and it's so good, and the aroma and it's so gewaldig and it smells so good, but it's unhealthy for you. And we know that it's unhealthy and it has all types of illnesses and the things that are going to destroy your body. If a person eats this food, this person and a beast are equal. You are a beast. When you sit down and you eat that third slice of pizza, you are not eating that as a human. You're eating that as an animal. And that's why understanding medicine and understanding carbs and fats and cholesterol and all these things, that's why it's so instrumental to Avodas Hashem. And that's why the Rambam in Perek Daled in Hilchos Deis gives in Rambam an entire parak of food. And not only it's an entire parak of food, it's all the way in the beginning. So the Rambam puts it sort of mamish in the beginning. You saw the Torah in Hilchos Deis. Why is it so important? It's so important because without this, if you don't understand the science of medicine, then you won't be able to get anywhere. And therefore, so you have to understand when you see a food that's healthy and a food that's much more appeasing to you, and unhealthy, if you eat that, then you're not eating it as a person, you're eating it as an animal. And this beautiful. So nimshal kebehemis nidmu, it says. The only time it will be considered a human act of eating is when a person eats what's healthy, even in a situation, meaning even when he puts that aside, he says, okay, this looks very good, I'm very tempted to eat this, but I won't eat it. Now that is a human action. Because look, which one of these actions would an animal do, right? That's the word. So when you engage it, you eat just because you want to fresh, and just because something smells good, and you follow your appetite of soul and your sensitive soul and whatever it is, and you jump into that and you eat it. Now when you ate that now, you didn't make a human decision, you made an animalistic decision. So the only time that a person could, when a person eats as a human, that is if he understands the science, his own, he understands medicine, and that will give him, then he won't just do things in autopilot. He's going to make decisions, what's good for him in the right time and the right amount, and that is how a person could eat, but with a higher, and develop his chelik ha'adam and not develop his chelik ha'behemoth. The Rambam says now a very important footnote, and that is, don't think that because I just said medicine is so important, that now being a health freak is, I don't mean being a health freak, because at a certain, this is something we see, I think, in our generation, because the FDA and everything is, so messed up in a true way. So now you have the other side of people that made health a religion. And they're willing to sacrifice and die for this. It's pathetic, but we see that today, right? So what happens is that, says the Rambam, that now don't take my words in glorifying the science of medicine and my profession, as saying that this is a goal in and for itself. No, because if a person, the Rambam says more the words over here. He says if a person eats healthy for the sake of health, he's not different than a person eating unhealthy because it's tempting. Both of these people are going nowhere. Both of these people don't have any goal. Both of these people are not striving to develop their das. What difference does it make if you eat pizza because it smells good, or if you eat whole wheat sourdough bread because it's healthy? If your mind, while you're eating this healthy food, isn't that your body should be in a position to be Yodei Hashem, then you're not going anywhere. So the Rambam says, as much as medicine is very, very important, and medicine is different than carpentry, right? Because it's a means to an end, right? If there's so much of your health and your emotional health and your mental health and your physical health and everything is interconnected, and you won't be in a position to be a Deis Hashem if your body is unhealthy. Therefore, medicine is very important. Yet, medicine isn't a goal for itself. And the Rambam says here that it's possible for someone to conduct entirely by a healthy regimen, like we described, but his ultimate goal is health, and therefore that's not a virtue at all. And he's not better than the person who's doing it only to seek physical gratification. Because this person chose, this person is health conscious, and he chose health, and the other person chose pleasure. What difference does it make? Because the only goal that a person should have that will make him the type of person that he should be, and that is if his goal is always, and every action that he does is geared to the ultimate goal. And that is the difference between a person going somewhere and a person not going anywhere. right? Because again, like we said, there's two people going down the same road. You stop one of them, where are you going? I'm going 1,000 miles north. Fine, you're going north. How many miles did you go? You went 200 miles north. Givaldi. So you made that amount of progress. That's Givaldi. Now, if you ask the guy next to him, where are you going? And he went the same 200 miles, but he's supposed to go south. Or that he sees when you meet someone on a road trip and he's not really going anywhere, then you ask him where you're going, he's not going anywhere. The road trip is the way. Now, did he make progress by going 200 miles? He didn't do anything. It's the thing itself. So if your way, so the Rambam looks at this road as medicine. So medicine could be one of the, it's not obviously not the only thing that's going to take you there, but one of the things going to the road of Yediyas Hashem is medicine. If you're there just to go on the road, then you're not better than the person going the other way. So, because none of these people have any inherent value in the action that they're doing. So the right thing is Anochen Sheigbes Tachlis Kol Ma She'osim Bebriyas Gufei V'Asmodis Mitzios B'Shleimus K'dei Sheskaimu Kli Koiches HaNefesh Asher Hem Evrei Agif B'Males HaMedosias V'Agyonis. And that is that a person that he should be geared to, that all his actions and everything that he does for his bodily health should be with the idea in mind that he's striving for a greater goal. And that is that I'm eating healthy because I want to be a Yediyas Hashem. I'm going somewhere. I'm on the way. And I'm developing I'm bringing my entire being, my physical, mental, emotional existence, every part of it equally and together, I'm bringing them to an equilibrium. I'm bringing them to the middle path. I'm bringing them to the balanced way, and that is that they should be in a position, and I'm doing all this, and I'm sacrificing a lot for it. Because ultimately, that is, knowing this is what's going to bring you to sacrifice. Because if you have 5 friends going out at night to party, right? So they're going who knows where. Now, should you go, should you join, or should you not join? That's a very good question. Now, the question is not if you should go to the party itself. The question is, where do you want to be? What type of person do you want to be? Where are you going? And based on that knowledge is what you should make the decision. Okay, so these people are going, where are they going? They're going to drink, they're going to hang out with people. Are they going to talk Divrei Chachma over there? Are they going to see Gevaldige Maris Elakim over there? What are they going to do? What are they going to see? Who are they going to talk to? Is this going to bring me closer to my goal? Now, if you go to that party, if you go to that place, then what you just did is you fed your beast. And you took yourself down you just took yourself down the ladder because you want to watch something. Where's it going to bring me? Is it going to develop? Now, it's not always bad, not everything is bad. But again, where is this going to take you? Sometimes you need to ear out. We saw yesterday, the Rambam said that sometimes you have to engage in pleasure for the sake of pleasure. Very important. Sometimes it's legitimate, even according to the Rambam, to engage in pleasure for the sake of pleasure. That's if a person sees that he's in a terrible mood, melancholy, marashchara, literally, melancholy in Greek means marashchara. It means the black bile. That's according to the theory that a person has 4 biles. This is outdated medicine, but that's what really marashchara means. So the idea is that if a person is in a bad state of mood, then he needs to engage in pleasurable activity just to lighten them up. So he should listen to nice music, he should go on a nice walk, he should hang out with people that make him feel good, he should eat food that is pleasurable to his palate, even though it's not healthy, because this is what this person needs now. So again, this is why the knowledge of A, medicine, and B, the knowledge of the greater goal always has to be on your mind. Because sometimes it is okay to do something if it's pleasurable and it's not going to take you anywhere. That is because if you are going to lighten up your mood, then you're going to open up and you're going to open up your senses and you're going to be in a better place, and that will bring you in a position that's going to lighten up your day, and that's going to transform the way you talk to people, and that's good for yourself, and it's going to bring you back to the middle path. So again, knowing there's no blanket statements over here. But there's one thing. If you are constantly, every second of the day, conscious of what your greater goal is, you're always aware of where you want to go, and every single action you are going to weigh the pros and cons against that greater goal, then you're going to be, whatever you're going to do, even very physical activities, even mundane activities and pleasurable activities, and the activities that the same guy is doing, you'll do it, but when you do it, you're developing your person, you're developing your Adam. You're not going to be nimshal kebehemes nidmu. So that is part 2 of Pirkei.